Just down a little bit. Let's check if this is working. I do hope so. I'm live right now. Channel. I am. Okay, cool. So this is a little bit of a different time. I'm starting to stream. I'm gonna load up Twitch as well since oh shit. Did my MacBook actually turn off? What the hell? Also let me check. So you guys can hear me, right? I hope I'm not clipping. I shouldn't be. Let's see if we can hear the music. Can you guys hear the music? Can you guys confirm if you can hear the music? I need to go to sleep because I wake up in 3 hours. Yikes! Ouch. No music. Okay, let me fix this then. Where's the properties? Select options. Speakers. There we go. Now you can hear something, right? I don't know why that was set up weirdly. Boy. It's okay. Is the MacBook on now? Thank God. Mute it down. I'll just quickly load up the stuff on my YouTube, on my MacBook. I mean, there's no jack. But yeah, put this at 720 so I can check the chat. Sound quicker. So fire. Either so fire, bro. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. When is new music coming out? Maybe soon. I mean, been pretty busy with this social I'm doing right now. It's taking a lot of time away from me, and I actually don't appreciate that, but it's what it is. Check if I'm live on Twitch. I am live on Twitch, but for some reason this is a weird. Does you sound choppy to anyone else? I'm choppy? What do you guys mean? Am I choppy? Oh, this might be due to my gate, actually. I might have to come closer to my microphone. Is that better? I hope that's better. Yeah, it's cutting in and out. It's fine now. I think it's good now. Sometimes when you're talking, it will cut out. This is I have a very hard gate on my voice because my keyboard is a Razer keyboard and it's like a mechanical keyboard and it's so loud. Let me just show you. We just type a little bit. See how obnoxious that is? That is so loud. So whenever I'm in Discord, everyone just starts screeching at me because my keyboard is so loud. What is it? WPM. Varix. So I'll have to figure out how I can have both. That keyboard has some OTT on it. How do you feel about Wubix leaving? I think it's great because he's figured out what he wants to do for himself, and I'm supportive of that. He's streaming when Witcher is playing live at Rampage. That's not fair. Oh damn. Am I? Well, that's bad timing. Well, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't really care too much about people, playing shows, really. Make mic gate too high. Yeah. It's a little extreme. I'll try and figure out how I can get a little smoother. Okay. Where's Mastodon in here? What are you talking about? It's Kanan. Talk Spanish again. Rubik's left. Wait, how are you doing? I'm so confused now. What's happening? Hello. Okay. What do you think about Pan Eyes? I think he's great. Love him. So, as you can tell, obviously, we are streaming at a different time right now. This is 8 p.m. Well, 10 minutes past 8 p.m. US time. It's currently 2:10 a.m. for me. And I might actually switch over to the scene here. No, actually, I'm gonna announce this. Oh, God damn it! Come on. There we go. Okay. I'll just take this. So that background beat you're hearing is not from one of those lo-fi hip hop things, radio things. It's just a tune I made a couple of days ago. Because sometimes I get sentimental at nighttime, and I kind of just want to produce depressing beats. I think a lot of people have that. Sometimes you gotta mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna post this on live. I'll be right into the stream in a second. I just gotta post on my socials about it. It's necessary. So just bear with me, guys. I'll be right there in a minute. Okay. And let's put that into the story. And let's post it. Face plant heater. I'll definitely be going over that project in a minute. Then I'll be... So the issue is, right, when I announce that I'm streaming, I can't put any links into the post. Oh yeah, I also have a Discord server. That's smart. Because then the reach just gets cut out by the algorithm. I can't talk. Which is kind of doo-doo. At everyone live now. So now I'm kind of just promoting the YouTube stream, but I guess that's okay. I'm sorry, Twitch people. I'm sorry to disappoint you. So just okay. So is Nasco reading the YouTube chat or the Twitch chat? I'm currently reading the YouTube chat, but now I just went over to the Twitch one. It's difficult because on my Mac I can't really have both windows open with just the chat. What's up, Mass Panic? What's up, Ivori? We got a couple of people in here, which is good. So I'm gonna switch over to. So I think I just announced, which is good. So, got it announced on Twitter, on Facebook. Take a while to appear in people's feeds, but I think that'll be fine. They'll just find my video, and I'm currently eating. Okay, let's go over to scene. so we can see what's happening here. And let me just go back to idle because I'm just going to close what's unnecessary. And I'm going to be back in just a second. Literally just a second. Just wait. Okay. Was just in the toilet for a second there. I was gonna eat for a bit. Okay, I'm back. So this is kind of like a test stream because right now I'm streaming at a time that's mainly just US 8 p.m. kind of stuff, because previously it would usually be a lot more people from the Europe side. So yeah, all my German friends are pretty much just sleeping, I think, at this point. So yeah. Stuff being too loud, going to the master and distorting. I'm having issues with stuff being too loud, going to the master and distorting. I actually had a little bit of a interesting find. Recently, I watched one of Dr. Ozzy's streams, and he was doing like a feedback session, and I sent him one of my tracks. And he actually saw, like, he said that it was clipping, which was, you know, true. But I was soft clipping, but the issue was that the drop sounded fine, but everything else around it, it was just clipping too much, and obviously I didn't really like master at the time. It was just like a it was just a temporal thing. But because of that, I was able to find a new way to master, which is really cool. So yeah, and I might actually be able to go over that today because it's a really cool thing. So the first thing I want to show, I think, holy cow, dude, you're doing a stream. I've been following you for about 8 to 10 months now, and every song you make is absolutely amazing. Keep it up. Yeah, see? Much love from the USA, so I am hitting the right audience right now. So we got 18 people on Twitch, about 60 on YouTube. That's good. How about on Twitch? Maybe the next time. Not necessarily right now because I kind of just want to, you know, chat a little and go over some production stuff. So I'm gonna load up this bad boy right here. Okay. So I'm loading up the project. I'm gonna do a little bit of a poll here because I want to figure out what do you guys like to look at more. Nasco Insidious is the greatest Nasco song in existence. Don't at me. That song is so old. I mean, it didn't sound bad. It's just the way I mastered it and mixed it was so weird. I think I had the master like extremely compressed. It's weird because you can make tracks like songs at a time in which you didn't know shit, but that's exactly why they sounded good. It's because you were doing things and you didn't really know what you were doing, but you were like out of luck doing the right things, kind of. It's weird. Okay. That works. Yeah, I use this as a reference track right here, because I was looking at the sub and the high end, and I found something like pretty cool about it. But yeah, The mic is tripping balls. So what is wrong with the mic? Oh, load the mic. Oh, because it was loading, right? It turned into a robot. Is this loading bad? Oh god. Alright, did it get fixed? No. Okay, let me figure out why this is happening. This literally hasn't happened before, so I'm really confused right now. Hello? Hello? Oh, this is working. So this has to be like Streamlabs doing a weird thing here. Jeez. Well, this is okay. So is my microphone actually being messed with? No, this mic distortion is not intentional. Might have to switch it to 1024. Might have to do that anyways because of the stream performance. Yeah. So is that better now? Still not good. Why is it glitching like that? What is it doing? Properties. That's not good. Okay, let's try just like. Okay. Well, I might as well just restart. Okay, hello? It's still messed up. It's so weird. Was it? Oh wait, maybe it's just because of this. Might have to turn this to like to that. Hello? Is that better now? No, it's still messed up, isn't it? Good lord. Okay. What the hell is happening? Default. Hello? Is that fixed? There we go. Okay. Wow, that was trash. That was really trash. So, if it's working now, I'm just gonna reopen it. And I think it wasn't even this. It seemed to be something else. Put this back to. I'm just gonna reopen. What was wrong with it? I have no idea. I think it was Streamlabs just messing up. It was Ableton, wasn't it? Nah, it wasn't Ableton. I had Ableton closed, literally. Alright. Please tell me this is fine. No glitches sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's currently glitching because I'm loading the project. It's nice and clean now. Great. Okay, we got 20 on Twitch now, actually. That's cool. 66 on YouTube. That's good. Okay, I think it loaded. I think we're good. Okay. Yeah, okay, great. Okay. So shouting Twitch and YouTube right now, you deserve it. That's cool. If this goes over some mixed down tips and tricks, I'll be happy. It's 7 PM here and I've got all night. That's dope. Okay, yes. About mixing and mastering, actually. What's that visual bar on the left of your Ableton? That's let me just turn this down. That is this stuff right here. This is called Wave Candy by ImageLine. So basically, this is kind of like unknown, but ImageLine actually sell a lot of the plugins as VSTs, and it's kind of like no one knows about this, which is weird. But yeah, it's like you can just get a bunch of the plugins, and then Wave Candy was one of them. So you can kind of just like have, you know, waveform, stereo, scope, and just a decibel meter, which is really, really cool. Have you tried mastering the drop and the rest differently at the same time to keep more dynamics on other parts, and especially the build up? That's like what I was gonna go over really quickly. So I have this tune right here, and I'll basically go over this little rack I made, which is called the Master Limited Saturate, and I'll show you guys how it works and why I'm gonna start mastering like this now. And as you can see, mastering wise, it's just like this Pro Q3 doing very standard stuff, and then just like this Master Limit Saturate, and the track already sounds great. And I'm gonna shut up my depressing 3 AM beat, and let's go. So by the way, this is something I started like, I feel like it was last weekend. It's still a little empty, but I feel like the whole structure is there, which is cool. And one of the most important things about it is obviously the bass design, the sound design. And I don't know if anyone here has noticed this, but doesn't this, like, the clipping distortion is definitely not as hard as the previous. Yeah, and I'll go over why that is. You can also tell the sub is really, really loud. So when is it available on Spotify? It's gonna take a while. Definitely gonna take a while. So this is literally like, I guess it's mastered, but at the same time there's like no, it's just an EQ and then it switches from a pro, like a limiter to a saturator. So this whole track is sort of like an experiment, because I don't want to use like extensive mastering on this tune. I want to keep it sort of clean and was that a donation?
Really love your content. Hoping we get to collab at one point.
Thanks a lot, Soundkiller. Yeah, maybe. Depends on how much time I have, because right now I'm really busy, but definitely thanks for the donation and the support. I appreciate it. So yeah, so I think the first thing I want to go over is like how this sounds so clean. It's pretty much just making sure, like, one of the most important things in this, and this is sort of like the little trap that mixing has, is you always need your EQ to be like the last thing that cleans things up. Especially for the low end, because what's really funny is like if you add certain effects after, like, say you had an EQ and then you add a glue compressor and you turn on soft clip, if you do that, then you're adding back low end. So literally, like, when you have a sound and you EQ out the low end, then you slap a glue compressor on it and turn it on like soft clip, you're adding back low end, and then you need to EQ it again, which is kind of stupid, but that's kind of what you need to do. And that's how you can keep things clean. And what's really interesting as well is the drums in here are really, really cool, because, for example, this kick, this is a kick I made in Kick 2. And what's really cool about it is that it's very simple. It's just one kick layer sort of for the top end, and then just literally a very simple kick I made. And what's really cool is you can see, sort of, if I go over the kick here, that it's distorting in a lot of the parts here. And this is kind of like what I've seen with Skrillex's kicks, is just he just slams his kicks. Like, he just distorts the shit out of them. And I used the M saturator right here. And what's really cool about it is that it has this threshold function. And what's really cool about it is that it can sort of smoothen out the amount of, like, distortion a kick can have. So, for example, if I play this kick and I slowly turn on the threshold, you can kind of hear more and more distortion. The more I turn it up, the less harsh it is, which is really, really cool. It's kind of like the Zomboid kick effect, where it's super, super, like, distorted but also clean. And I just love the M saturator. Oh, good lord, okay. But yeah, and then for the snare is actually kind of brilliant, because it's also kick 2, and it's really, really simple. So I have this snare itself already sounds amazing, and it's just insanely simple. So this snare is an amazing sounding trap snare, and it's super simple. It's literally just like one oscillator right here, and then a clap. So it's just like this clap. I'm gonna turn these two off. It's that clap, and then it's just like this. Those together sound like that, and then I just add multiband compression to it, which makes it sound great and adds low end, and then I just distort the shit out of it. That's how it sounds like that. And then I added like one of my snare tails, and then another one from Somatics just for the tonal. And then together they sound like that, which is really, really cool. But yeah, so that's how the drums are done. And then obviously I do my black magic trick where I send the drums outside the master. But I've went over that in a different stream. But what's really, really interesting about this whole mixdown, and I changed it recently because of Ozzy, or well, Dr. Ozzy. Well, no, was it Dr. Ozzy? Yeah, it was. It's the fact that you can use soft clipping, but you need to use it in the right like moment. So what I did is I came up with this idea that I will make a rack like this master limit saturate, master limit and saturate. And basically what I have here is I have two instances. One instance is the Pro L2 with a little bit of look ahead. It's kind of important. Attack and release quite like low. So this is, limiting quite heavy. Well, or quite, aggressively. And then I have saturated, which is just like soft clipping at -1 decibel. And if I go over to the switch, what it does is if I get these, if I turn the switch all the way, it'll, as you can see right here, it'll bypass the limiter. And then if you look at the dry wet, it'll activate the dry wet for the saturator. So basically I'm turning on the saturator and turning off the limiter. So I can switch between the two depending on the place in the song. So for example, if I take a look at this, if I go to the switch and I go into the automation lane, you can see that in the intro we're using the limiter. And then when we get to the pre-drop, I'm switching over to the M saturator. And then in the drop, I'm just using the saturator. And then in the intro, I'm using the Pro L2. And another cool feature about Pro L2 is this like monitor function. When you click on it, it's basically showing you what it's like limiting. And what's really cool about it is that if you hear too much sub in this like weird mode, it means that it's compressing a lot of sub and the sub is just too loud. So it was fine here. And the thing is, like, I can show you, if I switch it back to the limiter for the drop, it sounds worse. Like, the saturator just allows me an extra, like, level of volume and sort of making things clean. And if I do the opposite for the intro, so I switch from the Pro L to the saturator, it sounds like this. It still somewhat works, but I feel like it's a lot cleaner if you switch between the Pro L2 and the saturator. So that's what I do, at least now. Super, super simple. And what's really cool as well is that if you look at the two, there's no like boost here. This is doing nothing, this is doing nothing. And it's just like about the mix down, which is a really cool like idea. And I've always like supported the idea of if you can't polish a turd, like the mix down has to be amazing. And you can fake that sort of compression vibe you can have with sidechain compression. Like you can put sidechain compression on anything really, and then use your basses for it. So for example, if you want your basses to really stand out in the drop, and you have say like a background effects like that, you can just get a glue compressor and then go to sidechain and pick your basses, and then you turn on the threshold and then go to pre-effects. Well, you'll have to turn it on, obviously. Like, if I turn this up, and we already have a feeling that there's some sort of compression going on, but we're really just sidechain compressing. So we're kind of like doing the opposite of what you would usually do. It's just like cram the master. So you can do that, and I think it's a good thing to do, but I'm just too lazy to do it right now. I was rather focusing on just making the track. But yeah, so another thing I wanted to go over is a little issue I'm sort of having right now. I really, really, really like the way Faceplant sounds. I've gotten used to it, and I love the way how it feels kind of heavy. But at the same time, I sometimes come back to Serum to just make a simple bass. Oh, you just got another...
Hi, so I am going to be a little shit ATM, and I ask for you to check out my track maybe. Ha, you don't have to, unless. Anyways, I sent it to your email, it's up to you. Love you heaps. Also, give us mastering rack ILY.
I'll definitely check it out. I don't know if I'm going to check it out on stream, but I'll definitely send you an email back. If you send it to my email, yeah. You sent it to the one on my SoundCloud, right? I have for business inquiries, whatever you call it. As far as mixdowns before you even mess with the master. Also, thanks for the donation, obviously. With the master, I struggle with the volumes of things and EQing properly as well. As when I need to use a compressor and not to use a compressor. Only for... No, that's the thing. Wave Candy is not just only for FL Studio. Hey brother, what is up? Nothing much, how about you? Okay, let's go back over here. You could just slide into Discord DMs. Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, okay, you sent it to my email. Great. Okay, so where was I? Got a little sidetracked here now. Right. So Faceplant and Serum. I have to say that Faceplant does take a while to set up. One way you can kind of fix a lot of the issues with Faceplant is you have to look at Faceplant differently, because Faceplant isn't just like a synth; it's anything. And that's sort of the issue with it, is that when people treat this as just like a bass machine, you can't just use it like that, because what you need to do, for example, what I did at least, I made this bass init preset. So basically what I'm setting up here is kind of like what Serum looks like. So you have a wavetable and you have an analog, but you can also just load in a wavetable in here. You can do one or the other. And so I can do instant FM. And then I have a preset up LFO that I can, instantly use and modulate things with. And then I already have a filter in here and a separate sub as well. This saved me like 5 minutes or like 3 minutes of preparations. And then I made another one with which I call the bass unison in it. And this is basically using the unison function of Faceplant combined with the flanger to create this like zero random phase, like this pew thing in Serum, because Faceplant doesn't have that yet. It's really odd that it doesn't have it, but at the same time it's kind of cool because it's really weird how it works. Like if I go into Faceplant and I turn up the unison, the phase is already at 0. So phase randomness is at 0. This is at 0. This should just go like pew, but it doesn't, right? It doesn't do that. Well, in Serum, if we do the same thing, damn, I have to search Serum now. Go over here and I load up Serum. This bad boy does have this feature. It loads it up. So random, obviously the width is all the way down. Right, Serum has that, which is amazing for bass design. And this doesn't have it. That's sort of the issue I had with Faceplant a little bit. No, it's not really a big issue, but it's just something that I felt like they, might want to add in a future patch. But I actually kind of got around it. by kind of emulating the whole thing. So I call it bass unison in it. And basically what it is, I'm going to switch it over to a saw wave. So what I have here is a flanger, and the flanger is kind of emulating the pew. Obviously not as strongly, but then you can also turn up the detune. You turn up the mix. You can also turn on the feedback if you want to. And then you kind of get a similar effect with it. And let me tell you, this technique, like this detune thing, is a lot. I feel like it's a lot. I mean, it's not better really than Serums. So I feel like Serums is perfect, but just by doing this, you can turn any unusable wavetable into a usable one, which is really, really cool. But yeah, moving on. That's something I wanted to mention, is that make yourself a preset for faceplant. If you want to make basses, make yourself a preset where most of the stuff is already set up. What would you use that sound for? I would never seem to like it. Okay, let me just demonstrate it to you really quickly. Why the zero random phase thing is so OP. If I load up this and this, and I make it like a really, really quick sound, right? So I'm just dragging a digital bass dropper. Boop, boop, boop. So another thing that I really like about Serum, again, is the fact that it goes really quickly. It's really fast. I appreciate that a lot. But it's also, I guess this is also due to the fact that I've just used it for forever, you know? I've used this sim forever. So that's a very simple sound. But then what you would do is you would turn up the unison. Like, for example, I usually prefer 3. And then I turn off the width so it doesn't like pace. And then you would turn on the random. And then it sounds like that. You can also obviously trigger it. But then what I like doing is I like to turn the detune all the way down and then just use a macro for both. And then I can like... And now you just get a range of sounds that are like crazy. And that's kind of like how Barely Alive do cut some of the basses as well, like the older tracks. But I don't think it's really a secret. But what's really interesting is that if you have it like a little bit higher up, you get that really, really, really cool like phasey effect. And that's like kind of like what Skrillex's basses sound like, I've noticed. And I've tried to recreate like some of the like Fuji basses Skrillex had, like that. Some of his basses, they really have that like phasey effect. And it was like, how do you do that? Well, it's pretty much just doable by this unison phase thing, which doesn't exist in faceplant, which is the issue. But you can tell if I turn this off, if I turn unison off, it's boring. It's just a boring sound. And then with it, it's a lot more interesting. But yeah. So, anyways, back to this tune. All of the basses are made with faceplant and, you know, some other things. I got this plugin recently, which is called Elastic Pitch V2. And pretty much what it is it's Complex Pro, but in real time, which is kind of crazy. I mean, sounds. Wait, by the way, I have someone asking in the chat. The break. when your sounds clip, do you rely on the glue compressor or do you have another technique to make them sound good? I use the M saturator again. I always use the M saturator, and I usually have the threshold around like -6 to 0. It's just like a really nice soft clipper, but you can also use it as a distortion. Then Crisis says, "Why aren't you on the Rampage Frenzy stage right now, bro? For Rampage?" Because I just haven't really been able to really get into the DJ scene yet, because I've just been too busy with finishing up school right now. Do you think that sound is overused? I don't think so. I think if you use it right, it doesn't matter. It just makes it sound cooler. What's the vocoder rack? It's just a vocoder and an OTT pretty much. Oh, okay, let me just check Twitch really quickly. It sounds cleaner too, that's sick. It would have taken me 3 hours to make that noise. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really fast with Serum, but with Faceplant, I'm still a little slow. How do you get the analyzer on the side of the bar like that? That thing? That's Wave Candy. This little bad boy here. Just three instances with different things on it. Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, so all of these bases here are made with Faceplant. And yeah, as you can see, they don't really use a lot. What is this? Just an empty Faceplant. That's great. And I posted this on my Instagram and some other socials, and people seem to really like it. And I initially had the sub from the basses in the track. I think it must have been this one. Or this one? Yeah. But they didn't really feel too powerful, and with the separate sub, it always feels a little bit more powerful. But I feel like there's one really important thing about this drop that I didn't realize when I was making it. You cannot tell me this does not sound like making bacon pancakes, or like making pancakes. Making pancakes. Like, come on. How do you get the sub to so clean and tight without clipping when turning the speakers up? The sub is just really simple. It's just Faceplant, a normal sub, and then the M saturator. But what's really cool about it is that depending on the threshold, it gives it a different tone. You will definitely notice it on speakers. It's just overall a great saturator. Exactly, making pancakes, making pancakes. Listen to it. Because the actual bass is kind of holy and kind of talks. Well, not over there, but yeah. Making pancakes, making pancakes. It does really sound like making pancakes. It's really funny. But yeah, and then so I can pretty much just like if you want, I can just go over this patch and like kind of explain what is happening here. So this is a patch, as you can see, and this is the one of the wave tables I've used. Then I have this LFO curve, and then this is like doing that sort of phasey, the pew pew effect. And there's a lot happening here. So what's really, really cool about Faceplant is that if you just dedicate a whole lane, like one of these lanes, into the filter, you can kind of have what Serum has. Is like Serum has these like sort of multi-filters. Let me find Serum. So what was really, really cool on Serum, and I use that a lot, is like things like HN, which would be like a high pass filter and a notch pass filter, like a notch filter. or like BN is really, really cool. And you can have that in faceplant super, super easy. You know, you can just duplicate the filter like that and then just switch it, which I feel is super cool. And then you can, you know, duplicate it again and then use, say, a peak and do something with that. And then you can duplicate that again and use, I don't know, like a shelf maybe. So you can have quite complex filters actually going on. You can have multiple peaks going on, all that kind of good stuff. You will be able to tell if I turn this off. Well, maybe not anymore, but it actually used to really do a lot if I turn these off. Because right now it doesn't really matter too much anymore because I did something here that kind of made it unnecessary anyways. But yeah, then I have, you know, resonators. And as you can tell, I have different resonators on here. And what's really cool is like, so the resonator is a little bit underestimated because this is pretty much your comp filter in Serum. So what's really cool is like this like saw wave mode is the comps plus and the square wave mode is the comps minus. And what's really cool is just you can duplicate it and then use like, you know, you can use the comp minus for lower, like a lower layer, and then you can use the comps plus for a higher one. And if I turn these off, you can really tell they add to the sound. They're kind of necessary to just give it that body. And then I have a chorus on here, and then what I always do is I use the slice EQ here to just clean it up and then have the separate sub go out. Which is another cool thing. It's in Faceplant that you can kind of clean up your sound inside of Faceplant. I think that's really, really cool. And then the next thing I have in here is after that is Expand, which is a stereo tool. And it's really simple. It's just a Haas effect, but with a little twist on it. And you're basically just phase inverting the signal, like the side that's being delayed. It's just phase inverted. And what that does is just some weird shit. And because of that, it's motor compatible and it sounds amazing. It's great. Nazca, how can you have so much dynamics with the meat rack? I don't use the meat rack anymore. I don't use any post-processing racks anymore because I went through a whole journey of multiband compressors and trying to figure out which one is the best. And what's really funny is, so I will write you down what plugins I've used, tried, and why I've gotten back to the Ableton one. So I started off obviously like everyone else with the multiband dynamics, just the one from Ableton. I started off with that. Then I went over to the Ozone 8 dynamics, which is see if I can, I still have it, I think. Yeah, load it up. It's going to take a while because it's quite a heavy plugin. I kind of turned that into a good multiband compressor. I used that for a while, sounded good. And then I went over to the Fab Filter Pro MB, which was also great. It sounded also really, really good. And then I went over to the Dynamics MB. So I don't have the Pro MB anymore because I sold it because I didn't need it anymore. But then, where's it at? It's in here. Melda. Oh, it's in the categorized folder. Dynamics MB. And this bad boy is, you can kind of turn it into, you know, the multiband dynamics from Ableton. This is pretty much, this right here is the same sound. So if I click on the edit, this is actually what it looks like usually, but this isn't very versatile. Like it looks versatile, but it's not really like the way you would want it. So I clicked on edit and then I saw, okay, well, this is, you know, you can work with this. And I'm actually using this on my voice right now. So if you look over here, you see the Dynamics MB is currently active. If I turn it off, or well, if I turn down the dry wet, I sound like this. Not less crispy. Oops. But yeah. So I went through a bunch of compressors. And then what's funny is I went back to the multiband dynamics. So I went from multiband dynamics to Ozone 8 dynamics, then the Fab Filter Pro MB to M Dynamics MB, and then back to multiband dynamics. So all of these three ones, and the first one obviously as well. This was kind of a journey for me to kind of figure out what makes a good post-processing rack, like what is the most important part about it. And it is the multiband compressor. The multiband compressor is the most important part because it's gonna turn your sound from this like weird and like quiet and like whack sound into this like insane sound. And for example, if I take this bass right here, take this off, and I take off the multiband dynamics, it sounds like this. And you can tell. So what the multiband dynamics is doing is just adding it back into it. Oh yeah, right, and the snap peep as well. That's interesting, yeah. So I also use the multipass. Thanks to Rebound for reminding me. So this is another thing you could do, and instead of multipass from kilohertz, you can make yourself a multiband compressor. Wow, overcompressed to impress. So what you can basically do is just add 3 compressors in here, and then I used that for a while. And what's really cool is that when kilohertz starts adding multipass into phaseplant, you don't need post processing. You can do it all inside of phaseplant, which is crazy. So I went through, multiband dynamics to Ozone 8 dynamics to Fab Filter Pro MB to multipass to M Dynamics MB, and now I'm back at multiband dynamics. The reason I didn't sell M Dynamics MB is because it's pretty much multiband dynamics, but as a VST, which is cool because that means that if I'm ever going to use something else, I'll have the same exact preset I'm using now in the multiband dynamics. And I can prove this to you. For example, I'll be able to just go to this sound, and I'll just quickly again make another bass. Something really, 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 really simple. Just the standard bass here. So if I load up the enhanced preset that I have for multiband dynamics, it looks like this. And what's really funny is that because of trying out all of these different multiband compressors, I figured out what OTT does and what it should be doing. So let me just show you a comparison between OTT and my enhanced preset. So this is OTT. And this is multiband dynamics. Well, my preset pretty much. What you can tell is the one I made is just out of the box a lot cleaner. Hey, listen to that. It's horrible. And this is due to the fact that the crossfades aren't set up properly. They're set up at a weird frequency, and the fact that we're using upwards compression that is just ruining the dynamics entirely. But this is a lot cleaner because it's just using downwards compression, and then you can duplicate it. And then you can obviously also change the time here to make it even more dynamic or less. And you can set it to peak to make it a little bit more responsive, which is really cool. But yeah, and the reason, so how I was able to make this preset and understand as to why it sounds so much better is because I went through the pain of trying out all of these compressors and trying to figure out like which one sounds best. And the thing is, most of these other compressors, they all have their little quirks and things. They all work, but I felt like personally amp dynamics and multiband dynamics are the best ones. And so yeah, so I'll just like load up amp dynamics and show you that they're pretty much the same thing. So this is amp dynamics and and this is enhanced. There's just some slight differences in the release time. That's literally it. So yeah, that's cool. And then another cool thing about multiband, like this preset I have here, is that you can turn up turn down the release of the high band, and you can bring out so much detail, which is crazy. And that's kind of like what you wanted with OTT, is just like a lot of detail. And this could do it in a non-destructive way, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm officially not using OTT anymore because it just ruined my sounds back then. And this is, you know, this is a lot cleaner now. And especially for these kind of sounds, you want them to be very, you just want them to be very like fast and dynamic. And with OTT, it just doesn't sound the same. And over here, I'm not even changing shit. It's the same preset, just twice. So yeah. Anyways, so after the expand preset, I have 2 multiband dynamics, and then I have my nifty little plugin called Elastic Pitch version 2. And this is really, really cool because, again, as I said, this is pretty much just Complex Pro, but in real time, which is amazing. So I'll just demonstrate it to you. I'll use this one really funny. So, this one really funny vocal sample that I had. We'll have to type in vocal.
Hey!
Where's it at? I have it somewhere over here.
We don't give a fuck what you... Some boy!
Oh, you can hear this, right? Titus the Hive. Was it this?
Hey, okay, yeah, and back for, yeah.
No, it wasn't that. Sample sound. This. I just used something else, whatever. Latino, here we go.
Esto está bien rico, esto está bien bueno,
I'll just use this.
Esto está bien bueno,
So what's really amazing about Elastic Pitch V2 is the fact that it's real time, and the fact that it's pretty much just Complex Pro. And I'll prove that to you in a second. So what I'll do is I'll just activate it. So this is what Complex Pro would do if I were to pitch it down.
Esto está bien bueno, esto está bien bueno,
And now the other one that is
está
cleared.
bien bueno.
I'll do the same thing. I'll just turn it down. Unlink the format,
Esto
obviously.
está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno,
It's the exact same thing because it's literally that same algorithm. And that's why it's amazing, because you can use it inside of a chain or like inside of a bass chain and use it to alter the sound.
Esto está bien bueno.
And what's really cool about this is that once you unlink it, you have so many like format possibilities.
Esto está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno.
So for example, I can pitch down the
Esto
vocal.
está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno, Esto está bien bueno,
And it'll sound really, really sick. Or for example, I can do like a +1
Esto
semitone
está bien bueno,
and then just drive at
Esto
it.
está bien bueno,
And then you have like some really, really cool
Esto está bien bueno,
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 zombie sound effect. My voice was weird. You reckon you can make the enhanced compressor and the FXer for OTT? No, you can't, unfortunately. You'd have to use the amp dynamics MB. But yeah, so let's get back to the bass. And this is sort of where it gets its making pancakes vibe. is by me just messing around with the pitch. So you can see I'm just like messing with the pitch here. Go to the automation. I'm just doing that. If I turn it off, it just really adds to the character of it. And what's really, really, really amazing about this is the fact that this just changes the whole sound. Instead of like, if you were to do this in Faceplant, you'd have like resonators and flanges and chorus and all that stuff going on that would pitch, that wouldn't pitch with it. And it would just make things really cluttered and messy. And with elastic pitch, you can just pitch the whole thing without really having to worry about that. And I kind of did the same with the intro thing here, with this little, like I have a elastic pitch on here. About it. Also, this is an insane amount of processing. But yeah. So then, after pitching it, I have crystallize, and this is another amazing plugin. And basically, what I'm just doing here is just the standard weird granulized sound it gives. Just using that sort of as a layer. Kind of like how Zomboy did it when in one of his tracks. He kind of used that effect. Do you EQ in key? I don't. Okay, and then I made these two little presets here, which is really, really cool. This is another little tip. Make yourselves EQ presets and then save them inside of your like collections. So, for example, have sides and lows saved, and pretty much this is just an EQA because it doesn't really matter too much. Lows is literally just like a low cut, and then a bell. Well, another low cut actually to smooth things out, just super quick. And then sides is the same thing, but for the stereo information, and then you can also boost certain areas if you want to, or you know, turn it down, which is amazing. I haven't gotten to use it yet because I always forget about it. But yeah. And then after that, I just have M-Saturator boosting it a little bit, and then I have KJ Stereo to just boost the stereo information a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of how I went with the other sounds as well. The growl is a little harder to explain because it's got a little bit more processing in here. But yeah. And then also this really interesting sound. So again, I can't stress enough how important the flanger is. Just really gives it that vibe. But this sound is one of the more interesting ones. I'll just play it. So what's really cool here is I'm combining the crystallize, that sound, combining that with this really high pitch FM sound that's also being filtered and distorted. And then those two are, you know, run together into compression. And then it just sounds amazing. And then I'm also using Elastic Pitch V2 in here, which is amazing. So I'm doing too much in here, but again, you could mess around with it a lot, and you would get some really cool results. And then another thing I noticed, and that's really important, if you want to automate the macro, like if you want to automate the macro here to change the rhythm, like the rate of the LFO, it's super important that you restart the notes, because if you don't, then it'll sound like this. So you could hear how it's struggling to sort of change the LFO speed, you need to reset the node so it resets the LFO. Otherwise, you're going to have that issue. So that's one thing you'll have to adjust to, but it's really easy, really. So yeah, that's kind of like how I went over the other bases as well. It's kind of the same process. And what I also like to do is use Granulator too, to just kind of like resample some of the whole drop, just resample it, and then just mess with the Granulator too, and then it just sounds like this. This is already consolidated, but yeah, I think I have some other parts. Oh yeah, another thing, Faceplant, amazing for releases, just amazing. Can't stress enough how amazing it is for that stuff. But yeah. And then this is a background synth I made with Faceplant as well, for somatics. And then this is another cool part, is just like, I'll just like use some of the things I do for them sometimes. And then this is one of the more simple sounds, obviously. But if you look at it, it's got quite a lot of LFOs going on. But another interesting part of this project is just the fact that even though there's a lot of Faceplant, it runs fine. Like you can tell, we were at like between 30 and 40 CPU usage, so it runs fine. It's totally usable. And I think I was using Faceplant a lot in here. I have another project where I'm also using Faceplant. I'll take a look if I can open that actually. But yeah. And I love this part because of the little thing I did here. This offbeat. And then again, also these sounds are really interesting. I'm usually using elastic pitch to pitch it down. So what's really cool here is that it's automating the resonator here to give it that pitch difference. As you can tell, I can make it fast as well if I wanted to. And then on top of that, I'm also pitching it down. And it just creates this crazy complex, like really cool metallic sound. Oh yeah, and talking about sound design and shit, I have another cool little thing I made. And this isn't really on like dubstep, but I've actually used this quite a lot. And actually, if I play this background thing, I'm using it on that as well. I make sort of my own like vinyl effect rack. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this like plugin called RC20. This is a German site, but yeah, so this thing right here, this is really, really cool because you can turn a normal sound or like a normal piano into something really vinyl and old sounding, and it can be really nice for intros. And my dad has just like made my own version of it with like pretty much just kilohertz, and it's amazing. So let me just like show you what this was. Just really cool. Just kind of wanted to point it out. So just load up Blender, and if I play this, well, this is my keyboard right now. I might actually be able to plug in my actual keyboard. Do that right now. God damn it! I need space. I need space. I need space. Don't have space in here. Good lord. Okay, it's plugged in. So let me just load up a velocity so I can kind of ram this a little bit. So yeah, if I just add a little bit volume to this, maybe a little bit of compression and Valhalla room. Oh, no Valhalla room. It is verb actually. So I made this rack, which I call vinyl, and it's pretty much a one snap heap, but it's doing so many things at the same time. So right, what I have here is one effect called noise, and it's basically just using ring mod to create noise from the signal. So when the signal isn't playing, the noise also isn't playing. Which is really, really cool. So you can kind of dial that in. And then I have this other one which is called wow, and then that kind of just wobbles it, which is amazing. And then I have this other one which is kind of the more drastic version of it. It's called flutter. And it's using the random LFO in here. And then you can kind of combine the two. And then I have chorus, obviously. So you can use a little bit of that. And then I have this one of the other effects, which is kind of like doing multiple things. I call it vinyl. So if I play the same chord, turns into this really like low quality. And then I have compression, which just makes it sound old and like hard compressed as well. You can't get that compression out of it anymore, which is cool. And then I have distortion in here, a little bit of like soft distortion, and then amp. And then if you just combine all of these together, you get this like really nice and then without it, and then that's how I like made the background thing here. It's really, really great for that kind of stuff. And I might put it out for free at some point, maybe on my Twitter or something. But yeah, I don't even think I have the preset anymore. Let me see if maybe it's bruh. I'm not sure. So yeah, I feel like you can definitely just try out and see if you can turn all of these like plugins into racks, because Ableton is so like so capable of so many things. Like with kilohertz, you can like if you have the whole library, you can just do anything really. What is this? Is this these my own vocals? Oh god, no. Turn these off. So this is, for example, this is another beat I did recently, just for fun. And I was using the vinyl on here, so this is the actual beat. We have another version of it. Yeah, there we go. So the kick is a little distorting though. And then I just throw the vinyl on here and it just sounds amazing. Just watch. Now, and of course, on this piano as well. Without it. And then if I turn it on, if I just get it in here, turn it up a little bit, it can sound quite great. So yeah, and again, it's all just done through Snapheap, which is amazing. And Snapheap can actually do so much. I think I can actually load up another thing, yeah, LFO tool. So in this one, I was actually trying out to make really good sounds out of samples, but in very unconventional ways, using LFO tool because you have a filter in there as well, which is really nice. And Snapheap, because I feel like Snapheap is kind of slept on. Just kilohertz stuff in general is kind of slept on. But let's see. Right. So let me just play this one. I have another thing here, I think. That's just the standard stuff. So this right here is it's kind of special. You can kind of ignore all of the other stuff, but the way these basses are made is so weird. So let me just show you. Let me turn all of this, like, this is all post-processing. So let me turn all of this off. This is the original sample I started from. And then the second one sounds like this. So this is pretty much what this is and now it sounds super obnoxious. This is a snare slowed down like a ton. She sounded like this. Then, you know, transposed up 12 and then 999 BPM. Something like that. So I started from that, and then the first thing I did on here is I put on a vocal synth too. And then with that, I kind of just turn it down an octave. And then with LFO tool, you can actually add, kind of make it into a synth a little bit, not too much, but it kind of works. And then with elastic pitch too, I added an even lower layer to that, and then Snapheap. Snapheap comes in and just like saves the day. Like, that's amazing. The fact that Snapheap was just like these couple things can turn that into this. It's insane. And then just like some post-processing. And let me just turn off Snapheap so you can hear what it sounds like as well. Then in Snapheap, what I'm doing is I'm just using the LFOs here to modulate a little bit. And then over here, I leave it here. It's just a little higher. So yeah, that's great. And then down here, I'm using the same snare, by turning it into a growl by using LFO tool with a bandpass. Then auto panning. So here's the weird thing I did here. I used the auto pan to create this like ring mod kind of effect. Where if, for example, let me just take like a vocal sample and throw it on there. I'll just go on here. Phrases. Just use this.
Atlanta.
I'm using another effect here. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding the auto pan. This is actually quite a powerful tool if you use it correctly. And you turn the phase to 0, it kind of just turns into a ring mod. And then you can turn it to hertz. And then you can turn it up to like 90 hertz. But if you turn it down, it kind of gets that effect. And then you can switch it to a saw wave and then turn up the shape a little bit. And that's really, really cool because then you can like pitch it down. That makes it so much more growly. Which is really, really cool. And then all you need is just like some processing and it sounds amazing. Let me load up my Deer Enhance. Like without it, it's just gonna sound weird. With it. Now you will kind of have to find the right note so it works. But yeah, that's what I used for the growls. So I and then I had a vocoder on it and a bass noise vocoder, which is another cool, really cool thing I might get into. And then a Pro Q and then just standard processing. And then again, you can use the LFO to make some really cool rhythms. Then right here, I used an AOA. Used an AOA to create that, and then I have another version here, which is just like a vocal shot. Sounds insane. And then here is another really cool thing I'm doing. I'm using Granulator 2, which is free. And then what I did is I just recorded the whole drop and then just put it in here. And then, for example, right here, you can get stuff like this out of it. And literally all you have to automate is just the grain, the file position. Those are the two things you have to automate. File position and the grain. You can also automate the pitch if you want to. It can also get you some interesting results, like you do too. But mainly it's just like the grain. Which can get you some really cool stuff. And what's really cool about it is that you can kind of make a drop and then resample that drop and then have fills that are kind of dedicated to your drop, and they're not just like some random fills from a different like bass session or whatever. I mean, that still works, but this is kind of cool. But yeah, man, it's pretty 3 a.m. I'm tired. Jesus Christ, Nasco's on a whole other level. Anytime I think I can make cool stuff, he's like, yeah, I go out of a fart and some processing. Yeah, I mean, again, you could just use Serum for all of that stuff and probably get similar results. I just feel like what's really important when you are making, music for such a label is that you make the process fun. If you don't make the process fun, then it's like, why are you in it, And I feel like dubstep is a very nerdy genre. Like, you have to be very, very into these kind of things. If you want to get good results without, paying someone to do the sounds for you, like using samples or presets, because I feel like when you do all of the sound design yourself, you have so much more freedom. And some people, they like some friends of mine, they have like these sound design sessions where they just make sounds and then like save them. But for me personally, the fun comes in when I'm doing all the sounds on the spot, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's just my take on it, why I really like sound designing. But I think we should get into some producing now, some actual producing. Again, this kind of like this live stream is kind of just a little random. I don't have a specific theme for it, but I feel like I'll just let you guys decide what you guys want to do. Like, what you guys want me to do, really. Do you have a channel dedicated to your mic when you're streaming? Your voice sounds so clear, like you have ODT and gate on it. I do. I'm using a program called Pedalboard 2, and it just allows me to use, like, have an input and I guess I accidentally closed the pedal board. Where did I stop? Yikes. Professional streamer here. So where did I stop? Oh, Cosmos is here. What's up? It's on the YouTube stream. Mixdown tutorial. Okay, I guess we can make like a simple dubstep drop, I think. You start at the beginning of the stream. I guess you have to start all over. What software do you use, brother, and how much is it? Well, I use Ableton, as you can see. Obviously, I'm gonna switch up the color here because I'm getting depressed by it. Look, feel, switch it to mid-light. Oh god, that's bright. Let's just go with light. Just watch like literally 40 people just leave. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. This is way too bright. But honestly, this looks cool. Like, if you were to use Live 9, this would look horrible. So I'm gonna use mid-dark, I guess, like mid-light. I guess mid-light works. So bright. But yeah, what I was getting at, so I was reading someone's comment and they said like, how are you such a god? And so that kind of like got me to question, like, I know a lot about sound design now, but I also, you know, when you get really good at one thing and you stop caring for other things, you'll essentially get a little bit worse in these other things. And just as I said, for example, I have so many plugins and I have so many like little tips and tricks I can use and I made for myself, but I barely get to use them because there's so many. And like that kind of like got me the question, how much can you know? You know, like, is there a limit to how much knowledge you can have? Because if you look at people like Virtual Riot and stuff, they know so much, and they're so good at what they do. But then there's other people that are like even crazier, and they're like, obviously less known, but it's crazy how much there is to this just this one genre. So if someone like tells me, hey, you're like really crazy as this, or you're like a god, I'm just like, I just know 10% of what this other guy I know knows. So it's like, it's always, relative. It's crazy how much people can know. Is Faceplant worth it if I'm $10 US? Yes, absolutely. Because as I showed with the vinyl thing, you can recreate other plugins effects as well, which is cool. Can you show what you usually do to fill in emptiness in a drop? Like ambient background effects, using mid-side EQ, or delay to make a track sound fuller? Probably can. I'm always surprised about the fact that I keep learning every single day. Absolutely. You're my virtual, right? Yeah, Ableton is really expensive. So they know how to make a sound before they actually make it. Was it? I feel you. I was the one that said you're a god, but like, can you just reassure that you would trash it? Oh, it was super trash. Let me find like one of my oldest tracks. I'll just have to hit my SoundCloud really quickly. So this is a super old track. This was a collaboration with a friend of mine that lived in Puerto Rico. And I think this was just when I started off in FL Studio. And oh my god, it's so bad. Right. So this is it. It's called, so I was called Score. This is actually, okay, wait. So this is wrong. It's not Scorecox, it's Scorecorks. This was my initial name when I started off making music. That was back in the SoundCloud days where SoundCloud looked like, I don't know, really, really bad. But it was this other guy called DY Rexes, and we made this little song here. And it's so bad. Just listen to it. So this is, I think, probably like 6 years old.
Tell me what you want from me, and I'll give it to you. What is it you want to see? 'Cause I'll show it to you. Tell me what you want from me, and I'll give it to you. What is it you want to see? 'Cause I'll show it to you. Tell me what you want from me.
Oh my god. Okay, this says 10 months ago, but it's just because I re-uploaded it because I felt like it was such a meme. But yeah, so yeah, everyone was trash. Like, I wouldn't even like have thought that I was able to do like sounds close to what Skrillex's stuff sounds like. And here we are. Time to remix it into a banger. Oh, please don't. Yes, that was in FL Studio. I think FL Studio 9 or 10. Did you want any rhythm? Those are just like the stock vocals from FL Studio. Oh my god, okay, I'm gonna close that. That's horrible. Okay. Let's make some music. With how much knowledge we have now, do you think people still make bad music, or do you think we all have the tools from the beginning to sound good? I remember that before Skrillex blew up, he was like, he was literally homeless, and he made like all of his tunes on his, I think it was a MacBook or like his PC, and he barely had any things. and he was able to like pull off so much good shit with so little in such a shitty situation as well, that I think, yes, especially nowadays, it's you can do crazy stuff with anything, really. That's why, like, so this is another topic I'd like to get into right now, actually. It's the idea of like, I'm actually draw this because I feel like that might be fun. It's the idea of the sort of producer, because I've had this happen to me quite often when people ask me what I am or like what I do. So, you know, you'd have like so this is going to be kind of weird, but you'll have like the standard classic producer guy that kind of like sits on his mixer and like does all of his recording stuff for the studio, and you have a singer, right? That's like the traditional way of thinking what a producer is. But I feel like a producer nowadays can literally just be like a kid that has his laptop, and he'll just like sit on his bed and he'll make like 6K a month. He'll make a sustainable income, and he'll like friggin' fly everywhere and play shows and play festivals. It's crazy. This was like back then, even in 2010, and then from there on, it like really started to get there. I feel like personally, and like now in 2019, the producer has sort of like shifted into this hybrid of like everything. He's a composer. He can be a singer, songwriter, sound engineer. Like when I was starting my, like, I guess business, you can call it, it was really difficult for me to really figure out what I was, because I was doing so many different things. But I guess we're just musicians, like artists, because we are this hybrid. We're not just like a guy sitting in a studio recording for other people. We're so much more than that. And I feel like it's just difficult to get around with that stuff nowadays, because like people think when they hear music producer, they either don't know what it is, or they think you're just like a guy that produces for other people. But yeah. What was your breakthrough moment where everything started to make sense? So that's difficult, because I think that was when I started music. Well, not really, actually. So I started music in 2013 because I saw this one YouTube video, and I was like, yeah, I got to do this stuff. And I tried it, and then I laid it down for like a couple months, and then I got back into it, and then it got kind of hooked, which is really, really cool. Then from there on, I kind of just like developed a passion for it, and here we are. Pretty much. So what I'm doing right now is I think I'm just going to start like a track and then just go over like the mixing part of it and making the basses with Face Plant. So I'm going to make the kick first, and it's just going to be a very, very simple kick. I'm just going to do that. So we have the body of the kick, and then I'll just like layer another kick on top of it, and then maybe use another transient in here. So we'll do like something like this. So we'll take this kick and take out all of the low end. We'll take this kick and move it out a little bit. Put that all in the group. Now we have a nice then that sounds dope. Let's just add AA enhance. But yeah, I pretty much just started music out of nowhere and then just got really into it. Oh, there's some weird stereo stuff going on. See, now I could use my sides thing. So yeah, that's kind of like how I just got into it. It was just very much just like me having fun. And SoundCloud was really, really supportive back then. Like, it was, you could really build a community with people. So I guess we're going to do some 4 on the floor type stuff because that's easier to mix. I'll duplicate that. So that's the kick. I think it sounds fine. Or at least on my end, it sounds fine. Let's do some crazy rhythms, I feel like. But yeah, it's just like that feeling of releasing a track or like a song. It's still there, you know? And that's why I'm still doing this. And that's why I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing music until that feeling is, well, until I don't have feelings for music anymore, pretty much.
Atlanta.
Because it's the most important part for me. Like, if I just want to make money, then I'll do something else, right? But I'm making music because I'm not necessarily about the money. I'm just about the fulfillment I get from it. Or also the fulfillment I can get others. Let's add a nice snare. And I'll add like a nice clap into it. Add this one. Okay, so what I'll do with these type of snares, I'll just cut out the fundamental part. And I'll mix it in like that. And I'll cut this part. And this is pretty much just, again, I call a lot of things when I produce just sound designing. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw on an EQ. And I'll turn this down a little bit. I'll compress it a little bit with the hands and saturator. Cool, this up needs to go. There we go. It's a little too loud, maybe. Okay, cool. I'll just resample that really quickly. Dope. And now we can just layer that on top. Just like that. Now if we need to boost it, we can just use an amp saturator. And maybe also do that. Maybe a little less. Right on. So this is very simple. So when it comes to mixing, what I would do is, so the way I mix is a little, I guess you could call it a little controversial, is I mix at 0 decibels. And the reason is that because all I'm going to have on the master is literally like, I'm going to put this in a group and all I'm going to have on the master is master limit and saturate. I'll just switch it to the soft clip. I literally just have a soft clip in the master. And with keeping that in mind, I need to make sure that things don't go over 0 decibels, but also things are as loud as possible. So we've got the kick, got the clap, get some of the low end here. So for example, as you can see, so let me just like show you this theory. We have a clap, and I'll turn this off and I'll remove the low end, right? You'll see there's no low end. Now I boost it again with the M saturator. And if we check with another EQ after that, we can see there's low end again. We just add it back low end. And that's why you need to always have an EQ at the end. Always. So that's the clap. And I actually want it a little bit tighter. That sounds nice. Let's turn it down a little bit. Freeze, flatten it. Oopsie. Nice one. Oh, Okay, that was weird. So this is going to be some more traditional type of 4 on the floor type dubstep. How much time do you spend making non-bass music tracks? Not a lot, actually. I really enjoy making hip-hop because it's really quick. When are you releasing Believe? I've already released it, called Vibes. I renamed it and changed the vocals. Based on melodic rhythm would be interesting. I guess you could do that with the resonator. But yeah, so the next thing I'll do before I start with basses is I'll just add cymbals. Really important. So I have some of my own cymbals here. I'll just loop this. And make the second one quieter, the offbeat one, so that I can layer another one on that offbeat. So it sounds like this. Oops. And then what I'll do is I'll do the occasional nice crash with some fade in. And then I'll just add a new layer and then kind of just duplicate it. I mean, you can also use a different crash, really. Crashes are so important for mixdowns. Like, it's crazy because like this is such an electronic genre, but crashes are such an like acoustic element, but they're so important in this genre. It's crazy. So I think I'll just use the same crash actually, but I'll just turn it down a little bit. I'll actually make this one louder and this one quieter. Then I'll go ahead and put this one into sidechain, and then I'll just duplicate that. I'll add one more ride just to make things nice, crispy. So we don't have any of these going into sidechain except for this ride 11. So we'll group these and I'll call this cymbals. And then I'll just add an EQ and make sure these are all EQ'd, because what happens is that even though they might, like all of these might not have low end, because you're layering them, all of those frequencies get added up and then you kind of just end up with a little bit of low end. So that's important that you take that out. So that. So yeah, we got that done. Now let's get over to the basses, because this is the next thing I would do. So I would start off with a phase plant, and let's make some unison basses actually. Let's just go with the bass in it. And what I would then do is just add 2 enhancers. Usually one is enough, but I like doing 2 because I like going overboard. And then an M saturator. And what's really amazing about this is just the standard preset that's in here. It's just this really nice warm curve. So now when I start, writing, there's a lot of possibilities here. And what I did here is another cool little thing called quick midis. And what these are is literally just like either like an F0 long note, an F0 one shot, a long clip, or like a short clip. And this is amazing because you don't have to do all the shortcut stuff. You just have to drag these in. So use the F0 long note, but I'll actually play it in E. And now I'll send it into sidechain. And now I can start making the bass. So I wanted a little bit of a crazy rhythm. So what I'll do is I'll do a sort of one shot first actually. This is not going to be the rhythm bass, I think, just yet. Maybe actually it will be. Let's just make it the rhythm bass. So I'll loop it. So let's see what. Okay, let's go like a da gunda do da. So I'll turn on the snap, and you can really you can extend PLFO thing here, which is really cool. And so we'll go with we'll just put down points on here. I'll make it easier. Okay. So we go back. Go. Pew. Go. Yo. So now I'll just add that to the gain on both of these so it's a little cleaner. And I'll switch the wavetable to something else. Just try something else. Way too quick, so let's put it to 1 bar. Sick. We still have the we'll have to turn that down. God damn it, I can't turn it out further than that. It's crazy. Wow, I can't turn it down further than that? That's crazy. Okay. Is it too loud? You guys gotta tell me if that's too loud. Oh yeah, and someone said crashes are a nightmare for me. You have to have the right type of crash. Definitely. I don't finish songs because I compare myself to the pros too much and I feel like my skills are really weak, such as writing melodies and sound design. How do I get past this? Trevor, this is a really good question and it's got a very like dead ass answer, but just be ignorant. Like literally stop caring about like other artists' music and just like focus on your own music. Because for example, what I would have a lot is, back in the day at least, is I would make my own music. I wouldn't like listen to other like bigger artists' music, and I would just make my own music and I would actually like start headbanging and like, you know, really enjoying it, because I don't have that sort of perspective, you know, like I'm listening to this tune and I'm enjoying it just for the sake of enjoying it because I made it, because it was fun. But if you always compare it to like something that's better than that, then it takes out the fun, you know? It's like imagine playing chess with a friend of yours. You play chess with a friend of yours and you're both on the same skill level. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be challenging. But if the other chess player is way too good, who's gonna have fun here? For him, it's way too easy, and for you, it's just like you just feel bad because you can't do shit, obviously. So that's kind of my take on it. It's like you have to just, you know, stop rinsing the tunes from all the big guys, because that's going to discourage you. Like, just look at, for example, look at Barely Alive. Look at how much stuff they made in like 2016, 17, or 15. It was crazy. They were working their ass off. And sometimes it's hard to, you know, realize that all of these bigger artists, they've been grinding just as much. Because it's easy to just look at the SoundCloud plays or the Spotify plays and the YouTube plays and, you know, all the big posts. It's really easy to look at that. This is my issue. Been doing music for 6 years and finished 3 songs because of it. It's fine. Like personally, I was one of the people that would say like release everything you have, but I honestly think it's fine, because as long as you keep learning and you keep improving, as long as you find your own like source of motivation, that's okay. My personal source of motivation was keeping that music career going, keeping those releases going, and having, you know, people react to my music. That was the way I got motivated. But if you have other things that motivate you, you know, just the pure fun of it, that's great too. So let's make this a little tighter. I'll just do it like that. So I'll go with a tight, tight, tight. Just go like this. Yeah, that kind of works. I really like your song, Maybe. I can't believe you aren't more famous because you certainly deserve to be with a style like yours. So fresh and unique. I appreciate that. What Easter egg did you find from your from Show Tracks P video? Show Tracks? Who's Show Tracks? Yeah, I'm like 24, lol, like saying, man, it's what the feeling from you doing what fulfills you. Doesn't matter when you found it. Actually, Nasco has been producing way longer than me. So see it as that. Yeah, it's pretty much just like find your own way to motivate yourself and just make sure that everything you've learned doesn't go to waste, you know. All right, so now I'll just shut up a little bit and just produce. Here we go. There we go. So that's just one wavetable. So we'll use a different one. Let's go with something from Massive. I'll go with like Digigrain. I'll go in here and I'll actually not select all of it. I'll just go in here. And you can just go to Effects, Comp Filter, and then you'll turn off the cutoff to 2.0, phase all the way up. And then it just turns into Squarify, which is amazing. And then I'll just put this right here. I'll use a bandpass filter. And then I'll duplicate that filter as I talked about earlier, and then I'll reverse it. It already sounds amazing. Now I'll just add like a little bit of phase modulation with the harmonic up 1 and the sync. And then I'll just put the phase on here. So what I did here is I applied phase modulation to that wavetable with my analog oscillator, and then I modulated the amount of phase mod with my LFO. I can also do it other way, a different way. So I can go like that, and then I can turn on the level of the oscillator, and then just automate that with the LFO. That also works. So that's pretty dope. Thanks for the reply though. This is cool to watch. Yeah, no problem. Let me just check Twitter really quickly. Okay, guys are having a good conversation there. Okay. So now the next thing I can do, for example, is add a resonator and put that in front of the filters, and then just find a cool spot. And what I like to do with the resonator is actually automate the LFOs just a slightly bit with the automate the resonance, the note just slightly with the LFO. We turn it to minus. That sounds pretty cool. Now let's add the flanger. And this is going to be a little bit difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch it to scroll off, the depth all the way down. Spread doesn't really matter. And now you can tell if I move this around, it gets a really cool movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another LFO, put it to sync, triangle, and then I'm just going to do like a sweep down, like that. And then I'll just go ahead and loop it. And then I'll do something like this. I'll put it to unipolar. Okay, I think another thing I'll do here is I'll do kind of what I did here, like this. It'll sound pretty interesting, I think. Yeah. Wow, that sounds really cool. Do you have separate learning days where you don't make songs? Yeah, totally. A lot of the times, actually. So, I just wrote this comment from Chairs. One of the most like important things I've noticed is when you produce music, or like when you produce, it doesn't just have to be making songs. You can just mess around. You can just experiment. You can try out different things. As long as you learn something that day, that's all that matters, literally. That sounds really, really cool already. Let's add a little bit of chorus into this. Turn the rate up all the way. Depth down, delay down. And turn on the mix down. And the mix. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to get rid of the low end. So I'm going to add a slice EQ. And get rid of it. And then I'll just turn on the separate sub. And I'll just automate that with the LFO. 500 IQ. Watch this. Super clean now. And the next thing I want to add is actually my crystallized rack. And in here, what I want to do is I want to just get this on the sub. And then have this up. Kind of like that, yeah. And then have it down a lot. Kind of as a cool little layer. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another resonator. And I'm going to use 2 resonators to create some really, really, really cool metallic layers. So I'm going to turn off the first one. I'm going to turn this to a square wave and I'm going to turn it down a lot. And then turn out the decay. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to add an LFO. I'm going to use that to sort of create a transition here. So it's going to go up and then down. Just watch this. Put it to 1 bar and then I'll turn up the decay. And then I'll also add a little bit of... Yeah, see how much that is adding? Just putting it in the LFO a little bit on that. That sounds sick. Let's do the same thing with the higher resonator. And we're going to keep that on plus comp filter. You can also turn it around if you want to. Nah, that sounds cool if it goes down. And now let's add a little bit of the same. And let's turn it up high, like a lot actually. Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's turn it on a little bit. Yeah, that sounds really, really cool. And let's go to the crystallize and turn up the recycle. Awesome. What is another way we can kind of make this a little bit more crazy? So I want to actually have a compressor. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the compression for the high band. And then I'm going to turn on the crystallize. So this is why my like multiband dynamics preset is amazing, because you can add so much more detail by just changing the release. And I want a little bit more of a Foley voice to it. Just turn these down a little bit. Just there. Yeah, but what it definitely needs is more stereo. So I'm gonna go ahead and load in my expand. And then obviously now we have like stereo information here. So I'm gonna add sides. Add a little bit more. See right here you can see. Might add a little bit more over here. Turn it down a little bit over there. And then with the saturator, we're just going to push it. Oh shit, not the other one. Cool. And now just messing with all of the settings here inside of Faceplant just gives us so many different textures. It's really, really dope. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the difference here. Just take a look at Faceplant right now and then compare it to like the standard serum. I'm not taking like any shots at serum here. This is actually my own preset, my own skin. I just feel like when you look at this compared to this, it just feels, to me personally, it feels like Faceplant just looks heavier. Like it looks like this monster. While serum is more of this thing, like this synth that does things really, really well. But it just feels like Faceplant is just like more of the Goliath, you know. So for the last bass right there, I actually wanted to go a little bit like this. And then another thing we can do, if we want to make the sub a little bit more dominant, we can duplicate the LFO and we can go ahead and select with Alt. Oh. What was it like? I need to remember. Shift. Yeah, we can select all of these. I'm pretty sure we can, yeah, look at that. We can kind of do what Ableton did, and we can extend these a little bit. So we can make the sub notes a little bit more heavy. So turn that up. I just want the sub notes to be a little bit more dominant here. So we'll just add this. Sick. Is there sidechain on the bass? It's not yet. What is your sleep schedule? How many hours do you get? Usually between 5 to 7 hours. It's pretty bad at the moment, but can't really do anything about it because of this job I'm doing. But yeah. So I do actually want these like smaller ones to be a lot tighter. Like that. So I'll stop this up a little bit. And now let's just mess around with the resonators. That's sick. And then I would use like a fill here with the same bass maybe, or like a different bass, depends. maybe like a 6. We can also have it at like 1.4, like, yeah, and then just go to free and just hit one shot. Just make it easier. We'll go to square. We'll actually just use this as the sub now. And we'll go in here and just draw something cool. And then put it to pre. Yeah, that's cool. And then change the sound a little bit. That's cool. I kind of want to loot that. Let's try it. Let's make it tighter. And let's add maybe like add a distorter. Nah, it's just. See, for example, right now the sub is just way too quiet, and that's why I would now duplicate it and just make the sub now like longer, like that, and then just apply it the same way. See, it's kind of, you kind of have to like just think a little bit smarter about like how you're going to use the LFOs in here. And now I kind of want to. I want the crystallizer to be tighter now because this is too much. And let's actually distort the space a lot. Let's make this a little bit tighter. And we can also change the face. Yeah, that's dope. Background music on. God damn it. Where's it at? Don't mess with me now. Where's it? Where are you? There you go. Let's copy this. Let's just paste it. Yeah, you can do it like that. It's a little bit of a boring sound right now. We might want to change it up. Let's get it. We might also just change it into like a growl or something. Yeah, we might just want to change it into a growl. So if we want to change it into a growl, we'd have to like change the whole patch, which kind of sucks. But we could also try and just use it as a growl, maybe. 20%. Use my pen plus minus. And then get rid of the resonators because they are adding way too much. Open these up. That works. Now let's turn on the crystallize, turn on the expand, and let's add vocoder, and let's add crush. Maybe the other way around. Yeah, that works. Let's add. That's kind of cool. Let's go with this one. Whoa, this up is kind of distorting. Oh. That's kind of crazy. What's happening here? Oh, it's the amount of compression I'm using. Okay. And then we can also use like a Foreman filter. There we go. So you can tell that's a really cool sound, and we could technically just use like a little bit of queuing. Okay, that growl did not fit at all, but it's also got terrible mid band. Mid frequencies. So let's just do it more like that. Let's use a different wavetable. There we go. That sounds kind of cool. Maybe before, after the photo. Yeah, you just have to experiment. Let's stretch it out even more. Let's go to 3 and just one shot. That sounds cool. And then maybe like push it up one. And then go down. So that works, kind of. And I want to add one more like bass in here. And I'm going to try and make this one as fast as possible with face band. Literally as fast as possible. Let's see if I can do it. So I'll go ahead and load in, play this again. Enhance, saturator. I'm gonna load up my bass in it, and 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, turn this up. There we go, duplicate it. This other weird curve. Put the reverb. Free, sync, reverb. So I'm kind of just zoning in right now, trying to figure out what to do here. It's not always the easiest. And get on there. Switch it to digital, this one. Do that. Do this. Let's put it on the gain. and put it onto this as well. This, and get rid of the low end. And do this up. Ah, goddammit, I forgot something. Envelope, get this down here. There you go, flanger, please. Right over there. So yeah, it definitely takes a while to set up a song. But as you can tell, it's really, really worth it. It's really, really worth it to take your time with this synth and just experiment with it. Let's try and see if this kind of works in here. Let's turn it down. Maybe duplicate it. And then add a Echo Boy Junior. I love this delay. Let's make it a little bit tighter. So let's turn up the... And let's turn it more like this. Let's do. Okay, cool. Let's turn it on. And this needs to open up way earlier. And what we can also do is we can apply the macro to the head. Which is kind of cool, so we can, you know, we can have it. So yeah, there we go. So we have like this simple. And we can also just have it like that, and then maybe turn up the Echo Boy. I think that's cool as well. And then, you know, you can have another version of it that goes a lot higher. Whatever you want to do, and you can change everything in here. I love it. I love it. I don't know, it's just amazing. placement is just great. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just setting up this drop, and I want to make another sequence here, but a little bit crazier. So I wanted to start like that, but then I wanted to like get some really weird rhythm. So I'll go ahead and just do something really weird. I need a 6. I need like a 6. No, that's triplet, right? 10 maybe? Nah, okay, I'm confusing myself here. I need 1 in between there. So I need 16. Do I? Am I stupid? 8? Or might be, yeah. I think I'm stupid. What do I need 4? Oh, I need 16. My dude. Doesn't change. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't. Oh, okay. There we go. And then do some weird shape. Yeah, and then we can do like a nice variation of it. Do you add a sub layer under this? Well, I do have one right here, which is called the separate sub right now. Hi, vinyl fanboy. Let's make this faster. Like that. You can also go the other way around, which kind of gives it like a jump kind of vibe. Let's also change the wavetable to something else, so we have a little bit more of a different. That sounds kind of cool. I'll have to figure out something about the growl. The growl sounds kind of weird right now. It's not very. It's spicy, but it's kind of weird. Guess we'll also need like a phaser. Oh. Okay, and we'll need sides. Oh no, we already have sides. And then make it longer. Obviously, you have the background music on, which is kind of stupid. And I'm going to show you some really, really cool stuff. I'm going to get the stir in here. I want that to extend a little bit, and then this one as well. So a really, really cool thing you can do now, because we have all of this, and we can all send it into this channel. So we'll all send it into 9 group. We'll also put sides on here. The scroll is kind of ass right now. There we go. Oh, also, crystallize, obviously, turn this shit down. There we go. And now make it a little bit more crunchy. Scroll isn't really impressive right now. We add a bit crusher. Nah. Maybe a different visual. So yeah, with scrolls, it's definitely trial and error with scrolls. It's girls are a hard task sometimes. Oh, and also make sure that your LFO is actually like developing. There we go. Oh, and another EQ thing we can do here is, it's again this opposite thing. Maybe not too strong though. And change this a little bit. And again, I'll have to figure out. Sometimes you can set 20 minutes on a growl, sometimes you can set like just 20 seconds on it. It's really... Oh, this website is called Twitter. That's weird. It's really dependent. Like that one could sound cool if I had more. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Better, much better. And then another thing I like to use is this really cool plugin called Soothe. And Soothe is really interesting because what it does is pretty much, it's like, now in Pro Q3, you can do these really cool new cues, which are called the dynamic cues. So these are pretty much just like EQs that react onto the input. Well, and Soothe is pretty much doing that, but over the whole spectrum. So it's detecting the harsh frequencies and it's reducing those real time. So this is like an active mixing tool, which is crazy useful. And I'm going to saturate the sulfur here. So now what we can do is to create really, really cool fills is we can resample that whole drop. So we'll just hit record and we'll resample it. And then what we can do with that is we can create a new channel, and we'll have to put down the note C. And then what we can do is we can load up Max for Live, Max Instruments. Oops, I'll play this. We can go over to the granulator 2, load it in and just drag it in, and then we'll just have it right here. And then what we can do here is we can switch it to filter, and then decay all the way down, release all the way down. And then it's really, really cool because from here on we can just like change the file position. Just like that, we can change the shape of the grains, and then we can change the grain size. And then we can also change the pitch, so we can have a crazy sort of fill going on here. And we might want to extend this a little bit. And then we can change the file position again because this is a little bit long. Change the grain size again. And you know, just mess around with these things. It's really about like trial and error with this. Because the nature of granulizers is just really, really random. But yeah, then you can get something like that, and then you can probably process that again. And then just saturate it. And you know, you can change the shape again. And that's cool. Right? You can also go the other way around. And so yeah, that's cool. Now let's go back in here. Change the stereo information a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And now with the background stuff, so you can add like a pew, 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 all that kind of stuff. I personally like to, it's just in like showcase scenarios, I'll just add like pre-made ones that I've done. So I'll go in here, effects, various effects, like that one again. This one is cool as well. Oh, we're at 140. That explains so much. So now this is at F, I believe. Doesn't really have a key, so that's whatever. Send that to site. Actually, send that to whatever. This is not even in a group. There we go. Send to 16 group. Turn it down. And in order to make like these background effects like more punchy, is you can just add auto pan. So instead of it sounding like that, Make it a little bit tighter. Then the same here. It's really, really cool. And then let's extend this, turn off the loop, and then let's just make a longer. That's cool. Ooh, okay. Let's go with 145 because it's a little fast. And we can also change it from a clap to just like a snare. We'll figure out a snare in here. Just add a snare of mine. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, as you can tell, it's kind of like it reminds me a lot of these VR glitches, which is really dope. Now, one little thing I want to try. I want to try and just like get a different body on here that has a little bit more. That's cool. Well, that's interesting. So I just merged two different. Yeah, okay, that looks really weird. Okay. Guess that couldn't work, so we can just use like the beginning pitch of the other snare. That's cool. And another cool thing we can do here is we can, and this is again possible with Snappy, is we can go ahead and load up a filter and then load up a high pass. And then, right, what we need to do is we need to Control G this, create a chain, and then, so this is kind of complex, but it's really, really cool. So what we can do is we can just EQ out the body of the snare like that, and then what we do is we just copy this over to the other one, and then turn that into a low cut. So we only left with the high end. And then what we can do is we can use this other bow and use like a saw wave, and then just do this. And then in order for it to work properly, we need to change the phase of it. Now you get this really cool which I think is really, really cool. It adds a little bit of dimension to the snare. So yeah, let's just freeze that, flatten it, and now we messed it up. I'll turn this down a little bit and then just do that. Then I'll select this whole bit and make it louder. Okay. The whole thing down. So we kind of messed up the body of the snare, but it's not that bad really. Let's make it louder though. Let's get a saturator and a transient shaper in here and make it louder. Oh, that's. What we can also do is get rid of some of the weird. This part is weird. Yeah, there we go. Let's cut out some of the body here because I feel like it's too long. Maybe. No? Okay. Whoops. Yeah, that sounds kind of dope. Right on. And okay, so the rides and tobs, I actually don't process really. I mean, it's if I turn off the basses, it's very simple. I mean, I do like group my rides and then just like EQ them, but other than that, they're pretty much left alone. These rides right here, they are sidechained. I guess what we can also do is like fast. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And what I really want to add here though is like do. And I'll have to find some percussion. That's dope. That'll work. Oh, that needs to be faster. Cool. There we go. Let's add some really nice percussion to this whole thing, because I feel like it kind of needs it. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. Let's group this, and let's just go to 20 group, and I'm a little annoyed at the stereo. I'll just use my sides preset again. I'm a little annoyed at the stereo information. Okay, now I'll have to fix it up in a different way. So there's a weird. That one's fine. That one is just heavily messed up with the stereo. It's not messed up, but it's messing me up. Fixing this thing is just weird. That's really weird. Set a comms filter. Make it stereo again. And it's cool. And then what we'll do is we'll add a nice grain delay layer on top of it. Let's try and do that again. So what we can do now is actually we can layer it with this elastic pitch thing again. And what's really cool is just like putting this on percussion is amazing, because when you just mess around with this, you get some really, really weird textures. That's cool. Let's duplicate it, and now I'm going to turn it into kind of like white noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a vocoder. Yeah, I mean, you can use... I guess we could use that as compressor. Cool. And let's filter it again. And now it's a little bit more interesting than before, which I like. And now I'm going to add a transient shaper and enhance and M saturator. And I'll take this down. Let's go to the side. Let's compare it to before. Yeah, boy. Okay, cool. Let's freeze it. Let's flatten it. And now it's a little bit more punchy. Oops. So there's something wrong here. Let's figure out what's wrong here. What's wrong with the rhythm? The rhythm. So that's the rhythm. Let's see what's wrong here. Okay, so this is like... It wants me to do that, but I don't want that, so we will have to move this middleman over here like that. So now it sounds like this. Let's get rid of that. And that's still kind of dope though. I really like that actually. Let's just fix this then. It was over here. Yeah, boy. And then the second one I want to be like crazier. So I think this one should just like stop. Like literally just. Maybe this should. There we go. Oh, now you actually have the. That's kind of dope, isn't it? Yeah, that kind of sounds to Dr. Ozzy. That's true. This body is messed up though. I'll have to switch it. I have to see how I can switch it. I'll put these together and I'll go with an 8 group. Because the body here is just messed up. Damn. And go with one of my samples. I like the body in here. You know, I'll actually take the truncheon as well. So I'll do it like this. That sounds dope. Oh, it's a little quiet. Oops. That's sick. Okay, cool. Maybe we could try this as well. We could just take this. These are some weird snares I've made. What do you guys like more? Wave Candy is available as a VST. So right now, this would pretty much just be like, I'll turn this on. Let's get rid of this. Okay, wait, this is, the rhythm here is messed up. Let's fix this. Let's put this to 150. Let's just put it to repitch. I think that should be easiest. 150. Repitch. So now what we could try and do is the little like fake dynamics thing where I use the glue compressor and use the 11 group, which is the bassist group, and then I boost the background effects. I actually cue them as well, and then they'll be compressed when the bass is played. And another cool trick you can do is if you like snares too low, pitch it up and then just use a frequency shift to pitch it back down. I have 60 gigabytes RAM, yeah. So you kind of like make the snare faster without losing its like texture, which is really, really cool. Yeah. So let's also send this to the sidechain. That's so sick. Right, now what we could do is to make it even cleaner is just add a separate sub. Now the sub is already kind of cool, but again, we could just make a separate sub. It's fine. So we'll just copy the baseline from that, and we'll copy this as well, and we'll copy this. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll load up a analog. A clean sub, and then I'll use an 8 amp, which is just a rack I made with a utility. And what's really cool about it is just the fact that it's super easy to automate any type of volume, which is really nice. So that's our rhythm. So what we can do now is just kind of draw in what the sub could look like. So I'll do like a boom, then it hits a lot harder, boom, it hits again, and then it hits again, and then we'll just like drag it out, and then it hits again, and then we'll just drag it right here. Boom. And then we repeat this process right here. And then we'll just repeat the whole thing. And then we'll just drag this out, because that's the easiest. There we go. So now we can kind of like nicely shape our sub depending on what the actual bass looks like, which is dope. There we go. And then we have the other bass, which is 14. So we'll change that to 14. We can just go straight for resampling. It doesn't matter. Okay. There. And then we'll have this right here. Boom. Copy this, stretch it out. And that duplicates, and there we go. So now we have successfully, now we do have clicking, because obviously the sub automations are quite heavy. So what we'll do is we'll add an saturator. And then afterwards we'll just add an EQ and just cut out. And there we go. We'll send that to the sidechain, and then we'll go back to the group, call it bases, and then just delete the sub. And then make sure that the sub is at like -2, -1.8, whatever. Why is it louder now? Oh, because we have a fucking duplicate. Okay, I'm sorry. There we go. Let's maybe put it to -2.4. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So now I feel like the sub is a little longer than it usually is, so I'll just go ahead and turn the sub section a little stronger. Let's add a little bit more stereo in here. Dope. So there's like 3 core things about mixing that are important. The amount of stereo you have, the amount of saturation you have on a bass or like a sound, and the amount of compression. What's the soothe on the basses? That is pretty much just, so I'll just like compile it in one word, which is, well, not in one word, but in one sentence. It's a dynamic resonance suppressor. So I can, for example, hit delta, and then you can hear what frequencies is like producing. Yeah, that sounds dope. Let's make it a little cleaner by turning down these feedbacks. But yeah. And then again, on the master, all I have is like an M saturator. I can switch it to the Pro L. Then it sounds like that. The saturator is just cleaner. So yeah. And then really this is like how I mix. This is pretty much like, there is not much else you need to do. Guess we could add like an enhance in here. So yeah, that's how that's just like a little drop. Now I would like to make things a little bit cleaner. So I'm gonna make things a little bit more like that. So everything gets a little bit more punchy. I really want that to be the case right now. So I'll go into crystallizer to another go in here. And then for these bases, turn down the echo. Then right here as well. There you go. So yeah, that's cool. If you buy all plugins NASCAR has bought, you're gonna get poor except your Bill Gates. Yeah, your Bill Gates. Yeah, it's it is spent a lot. What Shane? Okay. Let's try the let's add a oopsie. Okay, this body's too low. That's the issue. Now another way to get your mix down really like tight is by just making sure that the rides and stuff you have are really, really tight as well. So if we go ahead and go in here, let's make all the rides super tight. And then especially the background stuff needs to be changed as well. So I'll just use an LFO tool for that. That should be easier. So I'll just do like a there we go. Let's go to this one. So now it's a lot cleaner. So yeah, that's cool. Obviously, then another thing you can do is you can do this like reverse reverb effect. So you'll add like a 100% reverb in a chain. I'll create a chain, and then you clean it up. You just clean it up, turn it up, turn that up, turn that up. Push that a little bit. And then you'll add a super heavy compressor. So I'll add the supercharger on GT. And you'll turn on sidechain from the same group. So we'll go to bases. and then we'll go to pre-effects. That's fine, and then we'll turn on the sidechain, and then we'll just turn the stuff. Now you can hear it's kind of like reversing that like reverb, which is really, really cool. So we can turn that off and turn the solo off, and now there we go. That's just another way to add a little bit more, stereo width and just a little bit more room to your drop. So I see you use quite a few resonators in your faceplan patches. They for increasing stereo width and making it more tonal? No, they actually don't increase stereo width at all. They're there to sort of further change the sound and add more harmonics. I sound ill. Well, I'm extremely tired, and my voice is a little raspy right now. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for today. I might keep the stream up. I'll have to figure it out. And it was a nice stream. We went over a couple of things, especially the mixing mastering stuff. But again, this live stream didn't really have a specific topic, so I'll have to figure out if I keep it up or if I just like cut it down and edit it down to a couple of sections in which I talk about more about specific things. I currently have 2 ideas, but I might show them at some other point. I just gotta hit the sack at some point. Definitely worked though, so the S time is a little bit better. It's just a little bit unfortunate on my side because it's gonna be pretty late. But yeah, I might save the stream totally. So yeah, I'll see you guys in maybe another stream. I'll probably keep this up then. I do have one ID I think I can play. Okay, I'll play one ID and then I'll head off. Probably I still have it on my desktop. Let's see. I'll create a new live set. Where is it at? Is it this? It might be this. Yeah, it's this. Okay. So, before I head off, this is a new tune I'm working on. It's all faceplan as well, obviously it says. And I'm going to switch to the idle screen and I'll just play this. And after that, I'll just end the stream. So, thanks, boys, for, staying by. watching me stream this. And I hope you guys have a good night. I'll see you on the next time, I guess. All right, boys. Have a good night.